Welcome back to the Football Tribe League channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Today, I sit with a man that needs no introduction, both on and off the internet. The content king, at least in my opinion. If you disagree, that is your business. But the man himself, Kasuku Kuku Wazabanga Semanengene.
Yes.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The going is very good. How is 2025?
You've been really patient with me.
Yeah.
You've reached out to me for what? A full month?
Yeah, for a full month.
Yes. But sometimes, like I was telling you there, YouTube is a job. So sometimes we get tired. So, but here we are.
Yes. Fortunately for me, I also come from a history of social media management and stuff. So I do understand the amount of time people dedicate to content creation. So when I call and you tell me I'm busy, I'm doing something, I completely understand. And oftentimes I've been struggling to think, I'm like, will this man really get time for me? Because I do follow your channel and there's content every day. So if he has all that to work on, how about you once 45 minutes for him to discuss things with you?
Yes.
But anyways, we sit here today mainly because, besides you being the content king, because you're a Manchester United fan.
Yes.
Let's talk history.
Who has been to Old Trafford?
Who has been to Old Trafford?
Yes,
who is a member?
I remember, watched games there, and bought shirts there.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, for me, my first question is, when does your love for United start, and where does that start from?
I told this story, but let me repeat.
For purposes of Football Tribe.
In 1998, we were watching World Cup at Kaboja. Bali baterawo TV yawo. So I saw a guy called Fabian Barthez. And at the time, I used to play football. Nengera njagala nnyo goal. So up to today, my love is with goalkeepers mostly. I'm not a fan of strikers, those things. My love is with the goalkeepers a lot. So I saw Barthez playing. That game of Brazil versus France.
The final?
Yeah. I liked what I saw.
You like Fabian Barthez?
Yes. Now, fast forward, when I go to secondary school, when I went to Chitende, they used to show us Premier League. So I'm there, and boom, I'm seeing randomly, as in senior one. So because, I used to know Vida Express, because the league at the time was still strong and what. They used to dominate the behind pages. So we are watching a game. I don't remember what it was, which game. So I see this guy again. I'm like, man, I know this guy.
This familiar.
So I asked this guy, no guy don't know. Yeah, the guy has a France, okay. That's when I begin supporting Man U. I'm like, hey, this guy, I liked what he was doing. Team in Manchester United. Then I began supporting Man U from there. Yes.
Very interesting story. You did mention in between their local teams.
Yes.
Having been a journalist for quite a very long time, have you ever covered sports in general in Uganda?
No.
Do you pay any allegiance to any local football team?
Of course. My heart is with Villa.
SC Villa.
Yes, SC Villa, because our family has been Villa throughout.
Okay.
Yes.
I also did support SC Villa because every time Muzei brought the newspapers at home, we would buy 2 copies, the New Vision and the Daily Monitor. At the back pages, you only mostly see Villa. Villa is at the top. Villa is at the top. For me, that was the early 2000s. That's the time of Mitchell when he was there. And then Jogo Young was booming. So Villa was the story. But when we got those troubles, I think around 2012, 2013, when we had 2 local leagues because of 2 competing factions, the Fred Muemas and others, that's when my appetite for Villa sort of doubled down because I wasn't sure where do I pay allegiance to. Villa in the Super League or Villa in this other league. So, but anyway, it's good to know that you are a fellow Jogo. We did like Engineer Ben Nisanda. That era.
I saw that era of Engineer Ben Misaga.
Were you still going to the stadiums at that time?
No.
2015.
I've actually
Uganda
not
Cup
watched
final?
Villa play.
Mm.
Yeah. But I love Villa.
Okay.
I think Villa's biggest problem right now, it is a problem they've had since the other guy left.
Yeah. Engineer Ben Misaga?
No. It was called Kawoya. Football has evolved.
Yeah.
They have not in terms of ownership and management. Today, we love things, but even if it's your side cheek, the things you give her are not the same things you give your wife who is permanent.
That's true.
Yes, so you have your wife at home, you have this one, you meet her along the way, you bang, you go. You know? Yes. So even if Mandela today said he's going to invest in Villa, he will one day get tired because he will ask, what is the return on investment?
Yes.
Now, Villa needs to resolve and sell the club at least 50% shares to someone who they feel is able
to take on.
Yes, and it's a challenge with most clubs today. Express, same story. There are people who want to invest in football.
We've lost clubs. I remember Sowana.
Exactly.
The owner, once he pulled out.
Yeah, but you see, Villa is now a strong club. They have that's what we take our fund. They have 40% shares. Zidawa, Ani.
The funds.
Yes. 60% again will take a majority shareholder as ina. So even if this person wants to pull out, I know who know nyagwakwasa. Of course, this 60% is ngabola abazungu bebakola. Mu Manchester wachali abawagizi abalina mu shares. Could be at 10% or something like that.
Very common with German football.
Yes, but what they give you is you have the powers, but they do the checks and balances.
Yes.
So they literally have the power. Because if they get to a point where they say, Wagwam, why do you still own the club? Said it. They have cause to raise. Now, being an owner of the club means you're supposed to show them.
You have to show intent.
How are you going to work? How are you going to invest? The moment they see investment in club, they are free to take you to court and throw you out. So that you have checks and balances ezikusigaza Congo o chali ku club. Ekyo kijja kwangowa nti Mandela alina obusobozi obuzimba ekisaawe. Naye sola zimba kisaawe Villa mumumanyire ejjogo lyabo wagizi ba Villa.
And then tomorrow mwagalo mu.
Okitegera kye nkugamba. So that is now Villa's only problem there. That's their biggest undoing right now. They are still a fan-led club. Abafanzi abasinga banaku baavu ate abalina ssente babaleekaanira. Kali ne bagamba omuntu alina bizinesi ali mu ŋŋano kwajja abateekemu ate mumuleekaanira. That's the same thing Misaga faced.
Yeah.
They are those people who, for us, we can do a better job.
And when
we can do a better job.
All his money and business that came with it. Today Mandela has tried to bring sponsors so that the club is a bit more self-sustaining as opposed to relying on one person. Because Express, after winning the league, and then they went and won, I think, the Kagame Cup in Tanzania, they faced similar problems when Keke retreated back to government work and all that. They've since struggled with finances. So I think all local clubs here need to find self-sustaining measures of, making those clubs run without being entirely dependent on that single individual.
Yeah.
Every time they get challenges with business, of course, clubs suffer. Not so long ago, I saw Fifi Fiona Pinky pleading with Mr. Chirumira for him to return back to Express. But of course, he did not heed to that call. He knows what it means to run a club, how expensive it is.
But also I think FIFA still has a lot to do, especially with making sure the fans come back to the stadiums. But of course, that also involves having facilities.
Yes.
Because you see, when I was in Manchester, I saw something. These people can afford to pay player 500,000 because one, the fans bajja emitwalo 7,300. Sorry, 7,300. plus let me say 3 times a week. Okay, 2 times. If we are going to play, now we are going to play Europa League on Thursday. On Saturday or Sunday we play Fulham.
Yes.
Now those are literally those are 140,000 people. Now 140,000 people. Let us say only 100,000 are paying. So 100,000 times the cheapest ticket is at £20. Yeah. The one I sat at the last time I was there was on the third row from down.
Where Marcus Rashford shouted Kasuku,
my man Kasuku. Yes, there. That was £600.
Wow.
Sitting there
for a single match.
Wow. So you can imagine. So if we are to go by £20, how much money is that? Now, after Katin's experience, say you nagifuna, jenagenda keyo gangenze Old Trafford. Nenda how things work. I need to be convinced. Why do I have to go? Ntule mu kasawa akali awo, ntule mu muddo. Obochitegera. Oba ntule mu makeshift. But addewo just bino byuma ne bayocha. Obochitegera kyegamba. And sports kati ebona facilities.
Yes.
We don't have facilities.
I do agree with you on that, because I've attended some local games and then you find sometimes access is also a problem. Exactly. For example, when KCCA is hosting big games, a lot of fans do come through, but also their space is limited. The entry points are not well managed sometimes. We've had even similar issues on a bigger space like Nambo. During the Uganda Cranes games, that then security is overrun by the fans that they have to jump over the gates and those issues. So there's a lot for us to do locally for us to improve the sport. But I think you're right to say that facilities is the start, and that's why I think Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa has been proactive in putting up the.
That's why Vipers, the numbers are growing by the day. Yeah,
and there's something that they do that I like, that they entice students to become fans, and then once they transition out of school, they continue to be fans. To be fans, and good time it will work. But anyway, we'll focus now our attention to your biggest team, your favorite team.
Yes,
Manchester United, one that has gone through its fair share of troubles this season. I remember I was so hyped up to do this interview as soon as United had beaten up against Arsenal in the FA Cup on penalties. We were very happy, man. We even had to swap attire that morning as you went on radio.
Yeah.
So this season so far, what do you make of your team?
I think my team is blowing hot and cold. But the potential they have, I'm actually one of those people who feels Eric Ten Hag shouldn't have been sacked.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I'm one of those people who feels, because I think football is trying to migrate. The problem with the English, they are rigid. That is why you see other managers come and they just take over. The things happening at Man City are happening because the Arabs or the owners, they are there for the business.
Yes,
they know the business. They are invested in the business. They are really not there for the culture. They are there for the business. Theirs is to win, is to make money, because they spend a lot on it. Now Manchester United has a problem. It is the pride of Britain. It has history. Then the English and all their beliefs, Then it's owned by Americans. Americans who believe they have to please the British, because the Americans have a way of doing things. Americans run their lives on PR and the stock market. So for them, if they are still making money, they don't think you have to change a winning formula. You can't look at them. Trump was rigid about TikTok. Now that TikTok helped him win the elections, you can see how he's enthusiastic about it. So for them, Americans, once they are making money, they want. So when the pressure mounts, what? They are going to throw someone under the bus because they want to protect their stock market. They want to protect their money, and that is why I was happy when Sir Jim came in. Although
Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
I don't think selling to him was the right choice. I believe that Arab that wanted the club was willing to spend, because Sir Jim is a man who has made his money over the years. He does not have an open check from somewhere like the Arabs that is going to pick from somewhere and invest, and But now when the Arabs take on a club like Man U, they have that pride in them. We have this club, we have to make it work.
There's a bit of show business.
Yes. So
from their side,
right now Man U needs stability. Financially, first of all, which they don't have. And everybody making decisions at Man U looks like is about showing the Glazers that no, we can still make money. And for them, the Glazers are after the money.
Yeah. And I think it's been a well-known accusation among the United fans.
Yes.
Both locally in terms of England and overseas, that the Glazers are money-minded. It's all about the money. They do not care that much about the club.
All the clubs owned by Americans. You can see Arsenal. They had to bring in Edu, who assured the Americans that, guys, we need to do this. So what is happening at Man U, I was telling you, I didn't think Ten Hag had to be sacked. But inside United are people that have been there so long, they've become small gods. They negotiate big contracts for people. They bring in players that are not worth the money because somehow, they feel the club runs around us. Yeah, that is why you see, at first, they had the backing of Ten Hag. They backed Ten Hag.
Yes.
When Ten Hag started handling players, discipline, the way they have to do things, you know what Cristiano said?
Yes.
Cristiano said, the mentality, even Zlatan himself, the mentality at Old Trafford
is not what it used to be.
It's not what a football team should be.
Especially when it is coming from Cristiano, who had the chance to play under Ferguson.
You get it? Because Ferguson was deep on discipline. Yeah?
Yes.
He was deep on commitment. Here players, Sancho, Rashford, that are earning 350,000, 300,000, 250,000, but they believe they are doing us a favor, playing for the club. So that was what Ten Hag was trying to weed out. And these players didn't feel, they felt, no. There's a deliberate attempt at players disregarding tactics. You can see it. Even in this loss we had, someone loses a ball, the player is standing there, they can't chase after them. You just go back and watch a replay of Man U versus West Bromwich, that last Ferguson's last game at United. You see that Rooney could run the entire pitch. You take the ball, watch it, Today we have very few people willing to die for the badge. The activity on they can't chase down it. Did you see all those goals that came? Look at the first goal.
Yes. Just to reflect back on what you've said about players disregarding manager tactics. Players complained that Ten Hag was overmaking them to run in training sessions. That was the first time I was hearing something of that kind. Anywhere in the Premier League, that players complain about the manager overworking them in training, and yet they are preparing for the game. You remember when you guys lost to, I think, Brentford in Ten Hag's first season? He made them run in the following day's training session as much as the Brentford players ran.
Yeah.
So, and then there has been an incident. I think it has been highlighted with Harry Maguire and Casemiro in terms of what the manager, how far he wants them to press, especially the defenders. And there's been that disregard of not committing or not heeding to the manager's tactics. But now Ten Hag is gone. Unfortunately, the situation has not gotten any better.
Actually, it has gotten worse
because
they have refused to adapt to this new playing style.
Yes.
They want a manager who is going to talk to them softly, and that is bad. You know, those who are working, Mazurui, Delict, who else? Maguire is also doing well. Amad Diallo, this Argentine is called
Manuel
Ugarte and Lisandro Martinez, But you look at players like Garnacho, You look at Kobe Mino. Kobe Mino came from the academy. He's playing very good football. The man can't chase down players anymore. He can't do tackles. You know, some of the things Scott McTominay used to do, we are missing in the midfield. These guys don't track back. Someone loses a ball and walks. And the guy is running. Have you seen that Brentford game? Guy yakuwa pass ojija mu number 3 n'agikanyuga eno mu number 7 across the pitch. Yes. And guys wouldn't run. And midfield is outrun, it's outpaced.
I think United should have taken notes over the years, because Brighton is one of those teams that has given them trouble. And we all know that Lewis Dunk is going to play that long ball into Kaoru Mitima or João Pedro, and then they run at you. And as you give them that space at your back, they're going to run into those spaces and you'll end up conceding. So when you look at United's record, at least in the last, I think 10 games, they've lost as many as 5 fixtures. Losing to Spurs, losing to
did you see how Spurs beat us? So we are totally outplayed. When you see how Onana is playing,
even the Southampton game, well, I thought United won. I thought the result was a little flattering, because up until the 80th minute, United had been outplayed, and then somehow Amadou Diallo gets them back into the game, and Southampton lose it, and then they end up losing 3-1.
But I think our coach is good, and what he has done, he has not cleared out everything early. The fact that Rashford is being used as a learning stick or a learning, players are now going to know that if you have to be here, you have to give it your all.
No one is untouched.
Yes, and I read somewhere they said Rashford does not want to leave United.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave United.
He wants to work on himself and make sure that he improves.
In fact, or in a surprise turn of events, reports say that no player is untouchable. That all can be put up for sale if they are not hidden to the manager's command. Because I was surprised with the mention of Kobe Mino, Alejandro Garnacho himself, and then Marcus Rashford. Of course, there is interest from Borussia Dortmund and AC Milan. Then
Marcus Rashford needs to go out on loan. Kobe Mino needs to go out on loan. Alejandro Garnacho needs to go out on loan. We need to sell Dalot. We need to get rid of Casemiro. We need to leave Onana. We need to get rid of Onana. These others, Lindelof, what they all need to go. Yeah, because they are players who cannot even read again. No, Johnny Evans is just there.
Papa's player.
Yeah, but you know what he's supposed to do? These guys don't even listen to him. He's supposed to be that big figure. That is supposed to tell these people, this is United. This is the United way. This is what we've been doing over the years. Please, this is, he's the history of the club right now in the dressing room. That this guy was here, the talent wasn't that much, but he won the Champions League. He has Premier League titles, 4 or 5 or 3.
Yes.
He has the FA Cup. He has everything. He has won everything. So we just need to let go of players that don't want to play for the club. And I think the coach is looking at a situation where he really understands that, okay, now Dalot can't read the game anymore. Yeah, because actually his game reading is bad and his decision making is bad. So then he's just saying, who can I replace? That's why we may not be active in this transfer window. But trust me, at the end of the season, the good thing is we have like 8 players leaving as their contracts go end at the end of the season. So it becomes easier when other players come in that the guy will feel So we still have another 1 season if we stay with this coach before we can compete for the Premier League.
I think he's using this period, although it is turning out to be a little too bad, to assess the players that he has, who is committed, who is heeding to instructions, who is stubborn, who is not disciplined enough, and then they can do a clear out in the summer.
And surprisingly, Maguire is going to get a contract.
By the way,
3 years. They've extended his option. They triggered the option of him staying. The way Maguire has improved, we are in for a ride.
I think outside away from Amadou Diallo in the post Eric Ten Hag era, Maguire has been United's most improved player.
Yes.
And personally, I was quite surprised because they've looked on to him many times in this Amorim era to solidify that backline and then be assisted with either Matthias De Ligt, Lisandro Martinez, or Lenny Yoro. But also in the manager's tactics, the preference of a back three and then these what we call as the wing backs. Now you have Mazzarri playing it and then Dalot. But of course, the manager prefers that they move further up the pitch, the way Antonio Conte plays with his team. Do you think that's something that will really work out?
I don't think,
or it just doesn't have the players to implement it.
I think right now United's problem is game reading and decision making. When you look at Mazrui, he plays very good football, but I think he's not used to playing as he goes forward and comes back. Then Dalot maybe could do it, but the support through the wings is limited. Then sometimes he forgets to track back, you know? So that is why most times they use his wing to come at us, you know? That is where Luke Shaw is better than both of them, because Luke Shaw knows when to move forward. The same thing Wan-Bissaka used to do. He used to know when to move forward and when to come back. Yes.
I think that's true. Although I struggle to reconcile United's performances. For example, when you watch Manchester United versus Arsenal, Manchester United versus Liverpool, Manchester United versus Man City. For example, the Man City game in particular, United go down fairly early on in the game, but there is a way they fought hard to stay in the game, and they kept it 1-0. In that, when they got the opportunity to equalize, I think as late as the 89th minute from that penalty, you would see they gave themselves that chance to go ahead and win the game. So in these smaller games, the ones that you would regard as smaller games, given United's standards, you struggle to reconcile why they cannot put up a similar performance like they put up at Liverpool. Like they put up against Arsenal, even when they were down to 10 men.
They switch off.
Is it a little bit of complacency there?
Yeah, they switch off. I think the coach also spoke about that recently, that when players get into the 60th, 70th minute, they switch off. I don't know if they are tired or they lose track of what they are doing, but they switch off. And that's the problem there. So they need to concentrate more on the games.
So in the wake of that 3-1 loss to Brighton,
yes,
the manager has come out to say that winning 2 games in the last 10, as far as the Premier League is concerned, is as bad as it gets. And he went on to describe the team as probably the worst team maybe in the history of Manchester United. Do you agree with those comments?
Of course. Of course. But what the coach is trying to tell us that we are all not understanding, he's trying to tell us the problem is with the players. And he's trying to rally us against those players, to put pressure on the players. When I say us, I mean us who are members of Manchester United.
Not this
Now, what do you mean by us? I am not talking with you. Yes, I have a card. I have a fan number. So I'm saying what the manager is trying to say. He's trying to rally us to put pressure on these players. That guys, come on. You know,
you can do more.
You can do more. Because if we say the tactics of the manager are not working, how did we beat City? How did we get a draw from Liverpool? How did we beat Arsenal? Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
Now that shows that they choose days when to show up. Now, if we are paying a lot of money to see them, to be members of the club, then they cannot choose which day to show up. They have to show up every single day. So what the manager is trying to show the players that look at the magnitude of the job at hand. But
the
you
club
don't
you're
care.
playing for. That's
And
bad.
then he's telling us, please tell these guys to pull up their socks. As simple as that. And what he said is the truth. Yes.
I also want to agree with him in the historical sense of it, because I do not want to believe that all the managers that United have had since Ferguson are the ones that are bad. Let's look at their CVs. Okay, you would argue that David Moyes had the lesser profile in comparison to all the rest that have followed him since. because when David Moyes goes away, you had Ryan Giggs as interim, and then Louis van Gaal comes in, wins the FA Cup in 2016, and then is subsequently fired. And then Jose Mourinho comes in, he's fired, I think December 2018. Then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in. Of course, his CV wasn't that big, but the things he did in his interim period and the subsequent season after, I think, where he does finish second as well. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is also let go. Then you have Erik ten Hag and now Ruben Amorim. And yet, like you described your team this season, they are blowing hot and cold. Something is still failing for United to click, especially when it comes to the Premier League, because in all these other competitions across those managers, there are some trophies to show. 2017, the Europa League under Jose Mourinho, the FA Cup in 2016 under Louis van Gaal, then Erik ten Hag added on his 2 pieces of silverware. So clearly, I do agree that there is a deeper lying issue with the players. And also there's something that you mentioned earlier, that there are people at Manchester United that could be probably acting as small gods. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe, that's what he's been trying to weed out.
Yes.
Because there have been so many stuff let go of behind the scenes. There's so many changes that are being done slowly by slowly. And then by the end of this season, I think the club will have a broader picture in terms of that playing squad. Who is to leave, who is to stay, where they need to cut their losses and then move on. For example, the example of Anthony, I think it has not worked out for him at United, despite buying him expensively. I saw he's going to Real Betis on loan. So some of those players, they are question marks. Then Casemiro, I think, given his age, I do not think the club will look to, keep him anywhere. Christian Eriksen, yes, he was a free transfer, but I think that
but I think also United. His contract runs out this summer.
Yeah.
Same as Casemiro. Yeah.
But also, I think, for me, those 2 players also beg the question about United's recruitment. Because United is not a club you come to retire at.
Yeah.
It's the club you come at when your career is firing up, or at least just starting to kickstart, not where you retire at. And yet we've come to witness a couple of those players.
But Madrid has had similar problems. AC Milan, Bayern is going through it right now. Last season, although they are now, they always work their things out so fast. Juventus has gone through the same. It's only that I think Madrid had theirs longer at the time when they had players like Figo, Beckham, and they were not winning, until they chose to say, no, I think the whole Galactico project won't work. Let's go back. In fact, Perez at one time left. So whoever came next, Perez sat back, realized what's the problem. Then he came back. So in his next coming, that is when things worked out.
He was just re-elected as president again.
For 5 years?
For I don't know how many years, but he's still at the man of Real Madrid.
So, and again, Madrid will face those problems once Perez leaves. Because Perez now literally micromanages that club like this.
Yes.
So he knows this, that, and that. And
he has that kind of model where he buys you the player and tells you to use him.
Yes. So he just needs to get the right coach who is going to, and you'll see the nature of Ancelotti. He's a reserved man who knows football and who has evolved with football. So you see in the first part of the season, he tried to make sure, how do I have Bellingham, Vinicius, and
Rodrigo,
Mbappe all playing. The plan was to have Rodrigo and this guy from Turkey, Adagula. But now they had to be relegated to the bench. Then they had to find a way to make these 3 work, which is slowly picking. You can see that now Mbappe is scoring goals for fun. I think they realized that we have to give Mbappe as the lead man. The others become co-anchors, and it's kind of working out for them.
But also his challenge was that the preference for at least 3 of his players, that's Vinicius Junior, arguably their best player in the last 3 years, and then Mbappe, as well as Rodrigo, all prefer to play coming off the left side.
Yes.
So he had to push one of them to the right, and then somehow in there also fitting Jude Bellingham. And in some cases, he's had to play him on the flanks, which sometimes didn't work out. But anyway, we'll leave that at that. As doing my research, and I understand you have intentions of going back to Old Trafford.
Of course.
Or to the UK, at least in February or thereabouts. First tell a Manchester United fan who has only watched his Manchester United on Ugandan TV, has only listened to issues of Manchester United on radio, the experience of going to Old Trafford, and perhaps even Arsenal fans, because you've visited the Emirates Stadium, you visited, I think, St. Mary's, that's for Southampton.
Yes, for Southampton. I've visited Leeds. This time when I go back, I want to go and see Chelsea, Fulham, Spurs.
The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is being praised as one of the best stadiums in the UK today.
Yes. For me, I think I've not taken a tour of United, but last time I used the other end. This time I used another end to get in. Of course, all leading to the Sir Alex Ferguson stand. The stadium is old, that's for sure. But the match day experience, like the fans are there, there's somewhere they stand and wait for the players to come. When they come in the bus, they sign autographs. I reached in, they've just moved in. When you go to their store, they call it Mega Store, where they have their merchandise. It was full this time. Last time I went there, it was a day 2 match day. And it wasn't so busy. They're actually going to close. It feels like, I don't know, it's a dream come true when you get there, you know, and then you see the players come out of the tunnel. You see on TV it looks better, but there you see people holding banners behind so that the pictures can be taken. You see them bringing in the branding and what. Yeah, but then it's also good to see players real life. For example, I saw Mazrui. It's not that big like we see him on TV, but then Delik is very big
and tall. And
he's not so tall, but he's big. Yes, he's really big. He has big thighs. I saw him. Then I saw Rashford. Rashford on TV looks so small, but it's not that small. Same as Garnacho.
That experience of being closer there in the stand, and you can literally, you know, shout the player's name and they hear you.
Yes.
What's that like?
Man.
Because,
you know, when I was still in secondary school, we used to dream. One day I'll go to Old Trafford. You know, the gigs. But man, well, go for me, because I was in that era when Beckham was at his peak. Gigs, calls, you know, I would have loved to see those guys, because when you see the United playing today,
you feel like you missed out on those.
I should have met
around 2000.
Even if it was not the glory days, I would have loved to see Wayne Rooney playing.
That the class of '92, and then the Rooneys,
the Tevez, Cristiano. You know, it is when you get to those stadiums that you feel the strength of Ronaldo. There is a Cristiano Ronaldo banner there, but guys, our guy, you know, it's when you realize you tend to understand the magnitude of where you are. Like someone believes in you out there.
Speaking of that magnitude, I don't know how many pep talks I gave myself to have the composure to do this interview, because I'm a fan. I didn't want to shout. So I do understand. I've seen videos of fans, especially those that come in once in a while, that come from different countries. When they cry after experiencing,
you know what it feels.
Experience.
Rashford, like real life, his real life size, like you're looking at. Oh, I get it.
You're away from this portrait.
And then you sit down and you remember how many miles you've left your country. Your sitting room, the bar, it feels like, wow, everything is. Abazungu bakola ebintu byabwe mwana. Javola wangamba wano kati Vipers ye ineche ekintu nti oyingira ekisaawe n'olaba ekisaawe. Oba feeling gye twalina bakweno qualification gye tuzzeemu ene ya AFCON. Eri gye twakubirako oba Kenya. Wali team yitwa kuba yali Kenya oba ki tulyoke tuyiteko kugenda Farouk Biya gye yatebera goal
I think Comoros.
Tugende mu Africa Cup. You know that feeling? Ekisawe nga kijjudde ebisajja ebizungu biwagira. Eri ku Stratford end kyeki Russia baba bayimiridde bo tebazikiza 24/7. Otegera kati fe tuba tutudde eno mu bagagga leero naffe eno gye tutuula eno Abangereza abenyini bali original totera basangayo waliyo bano banva America nva Simawa those people who hey man 600 pounds is a lot of money in England.
It's even I mean if just tell a Ugandan to pay 20 pounds to watch a Ugandan game
they can't.
It's too expensive.
Yes. But because for us it's about the experience. You know, so you're like, can't take you 600 pounds.
Up close experience.
Yes.
When you see those, the fans that normally hold the big banners and flags, when they wave them around, I just watch it from TV, but sometimes, especially when your team is winning, or in cup finals, for example, UEFA Champions League final, there's that moment right from when the players walk out. When they're showing you the slow motions and all that, you feel their presence of
stadium ebeera nnene bw'olaba nga bekibeera Namboole Namboole ate ntini Old Trafford nnene mubeera muli abasajja babuukabuuka n'oli inside atikola biki
abantu
7,000 kati no guno gwa Chelsea gwe twalimu awefaani babawaka compartment beekati awefaani babeera ndowooza ng'enkumi 3,000 pozi kati ng'egyo egya Man U Arsenal okitegeera naye awasigadde kati walaba ku gwa Brighton obuwagizi bwali ere nga butini
naye ng'ate bulina obba
osooka gwe wabweru wokka abantu babeera wabweru olutiko ne lukumera kati nengenda wali mu match day hospitality kuba kati fezo sente zetusasula nnyingi bakutwalako wali mu match day hospitality nengenda mu match day hospitality wabeerawo biwayini byakulya biki then bwe bamala kati mmwe ne babayisaawo
bw'oyogerako ekyo I remember what David Beckham said. One of his sons is an Arsenal fan. He normally he tells that story that you know they were there and then the kids are like, we should go watch a game, and then you check the calendar and the Arsenal game was the only one available. And then he takes the kid to the stadium. Arsene Wenger was still available. He comes down, picks him from I think like that waiting lounge, takes him around the stadium and see the players in the dressing rooms, gets him a simple scarf, and there was no turning back for Beckham's boy. Ever since then, he's an Arsenal fan. While the dad is and other
United, yes. United like when you're there, so you really feel like you know. I went to Arsenal Stadium. They have their history written. When you are an Arsenal fan, no to Kawari. Wala nze ndi wa Man U na ina tuka kwa Emirates. Why Emirates very beautiful. Saicha wechipia. Kuvida and unlike eri ku Man U they are arrogant. N'abakozi baabwe biki. They want ku Arsenal their workers are soft. Hey, how are you? You want this? When you go to Man U store.
Did you get any slight temptations of switching allegiance to Arsenal?
No, I didn't. But I like, but and actually, I have some friends of mine that I know support Arsenal. I was like, they should come and visit here.
I do support Arsenal.
When you go to their dressing room,